Hello and welcome to Astronomy Spotlight. My name is Kirk Rosberg. I'm the planetarium coordinator here at the Hastings Museum. And this month we've got a couple of things going on. Of course, the big event in October is the annular solar eclipse, at least if you are in certain parts of the country. And that is on October 14th. But before we get to that, I did want to mention that the planet Venus is at greatest western elongation from the sun, about 42 degrees away from the sun. So it is at its greatest elongation. It is at its farthest distance from the sun as seen in the sky. Let me turn on my label. There we go. So it is sort of up there in the eastern sky. And this would be on October the 23rd. So, and that would be in the pre-dawn sky, because right now Venus is a morning star, so to speak, still shining rather brightly at minus 4.4 magnitude. So this is your chance to see Venus pretty far away from the sun and shining quite brightly. Now I've switched the sky to October 14th at about 10:20 a.m. That is when the eclipse starts, and as you can see, the eclipse has just started with first contact. So parts of the U.S. on October 14th will be treated to an annular eclipse of the sun. Now this should not be confused with a total eclipse of the sun, which is when the moon completely covers the disk of the sun. During an annular eclipse, there is still a ring of sunlight around the sun, and that is why it is called an annular eclipse. Now this is because the moon is simply too far away from the Earth in order to completely cover the sun. So we cannot see a total eclipse this time around, really from anywhere in the US. On average, any one place on Earth will experience a total eclipse of the sun one time about every 400 years. So some places are actually a bit luckier than others. Some parts of Texas will actually see a total eclipse next year and an annular eclipse this year. A solar eclipse happens when the moon passes directly in front of the sun, which can only happen at one time, and that is at new moon. So when we cannot see the moon in the sky, it is because the sun and the moon are in the same direction, so it kind of makes perfect sense. Lunar eclipses occur when the Earth passes between the sun and the moon. Lunar eclipses are only possible at full moon, pretty much the opposite time we're talking about now. For those of us in the Hastings area, we will see roughly 64 to 65% of the sun's disk covered. Scotts Bluff will get about 71% coverage, or obscuration as they call it, and Omaha will experience 59% of the sun blocked out. By the way, weather permitting, of course, we will be observing the entire partial eclipse at the museum. This will be starting around 10 a.m., which is before the eclipse starts. And so basically we've got our little solar telescope. It has two different solar filters, and I will be switching those out throughout the event. And because we can't all look through the telescope at the same time, I do have some eclipse glasses, which are brand new, and we will be giving out free glasses to the first 50 adults and the first 50 children, since we have two different sizes of eclipse glasses. So we hope you'll join us there on October 14th by the museum. Now remember, though, it is never safe to look directly at the sun without either solar eclipse glasses or a good solar filter. Sunglasses do not work. However, a number 14 arc welder's filter will be just fine. So we will be watching the sun, as I said, right after 10 a.m. The eclipse begins at 10:20 a.m. For those of us in the Hastings area. Maximum eclipse, when the moon blocks out the most of the sun that we will get, 65% or thereabout, will be at 11:40 a.m. So let me go forward here to show you kind of what that will look like, maybe, if we're lucky. Stop right there. And that's about right, actually, pretty close. Very close. So that is about 11:40 a.m. Last contact will be at about 1:13. That is when the apparent disk of the moon will leave the disk of the sun completely, and we will be back to having our regular sun back. Maximum eclipse in Scotts Bluff, which will be about 71%, will be at 10:34 Mountain Daylight Time. In Omaha, it will be about 59%, and that will be at 11:42 a.m. Now, if the weather decides, for example, not to cooperate this year, and of course there's always that possibility, there is another partial eclipse of the sun visible from Nebraska next April the 8th. When those of us in the Hastings area will see a maximum obscuration of the sun of about 77%. So even better than this time around. Lincoln and Omaha will see just over about 79%. Some places in the U.S., of course, will see a total eclipse of the sun on that day. All right, that is it for Astronomy Spotlight for October. Please join us again next month. And happy eclipse watching.